Hey, thanks for watching The Third Rail. All right, this is take number 4. No, make that take number 5. You know, I admire greatly people who do YouTube videos and do them right the first time. It takes me forever to try to put one of these things together. Have you ever been asked to pray for something and you wondered, should I really be praying for that? You know, it's an important question, and I think that we need to consider sometimes when people put out prayer requests about things that we seriously consider if it's legitimate or not. I don't know how many of you have seen not on YouTube, but on Facebook, maybe on YouTube, but on Facebook, somebody will post a picture of somebody that needs help or whatever. Maybe they're in a hospital bed and pray for this person, and people will do it. And then you notice that the picture is 10 years old and somebody's playing a game and just getting attention. And sometimes we have to really think about what we should be praying for. Of course, you can pray for anything you want. It's none of my business. But Lawrence Vance wrote an article recently entitled Pray for Ukraine. And I thought, you know, as Christians, we really need to consider this kind of thing. And I'm just going to read you the article. Now, I'm going to post the link below to the article that he posted. It was posted on LouRockwell.com so that you can read it for yourself. But I just wanted to make some points about this and just and read it to you. I think it's important. The latest empty cliche that one hears out of the mouth of Christians is pray for Ukraine. But do Christians who utter this pious platitude even know what they mean when they say it? I think it's a good, reasonable question. I suppose that it is supposed to mean that we should pray for the people of Ukraine who are suffering because of the unjustified Russian invasion of their country. That makes sense. If only things were that simple. Some observations are in order. This appeal is based on the overly simplistic yet false and evil notion of Ukraine good, Russia bad. This trite expression in the form of a prayer request is virtue signaling at its worst. I think we are at the point now where someone saying pray for Ukraine is the verbal equivalent of someone wearing a face mask. That's a totally different subject, but it's an interesting point. If U.S. soldiers are heroes for following their government's orders, and in America, especially amongst Christians, we elevate soldiers to heroes just for wearing a uniform. By the way, 6-year Air Force veteran, I've never considered myself a hero for putting on the uniform. Then why aren't Russian soldiers heroes for doing the same? Or any other country's soldiers for that matter? The Ukrainian nationalists and the Christians who hang on their every word, who compare Putin to Hitler, are gravely insulting Jews. How come I have never heard any Christians say that we should pray for the ethnic Russians in eastern Ukraine who were shelled for the past 8 years by the Ukraine military? You don't hear much about that in the news, but that has been going on for quite some time. If we should pray for the people of Ukraine, then what about the Uyghurs in northwest China who have been persecuted by the Chinese government for years? Well, yeah, but that's where we get our iPhones. We can't be involved in that. And what about the Chinese people? Their government keeps imposing strict lockdowns because of its ridiculous zero COVID policy. Yeah, but I get it. I get my TV sets from there. Where were these Christians when the U.S. military was killing Vietnamese, Laotians, and Cambodians by the millions during the Vietnam War? Yeah. Where were these Christians? I have an idea where they were, because it still goes on today, and I'm just going to throw this in, no extra charge. As far as Christians go, with the group that I run with, which are generally Independent Baptist, for some reason, Independent Baptists wholeheartedly support the military, whatever they do. In fact, they'll use their churches to support the military and encourage their young people to eagerly join and support them when they do. Now, I'm not opposed to people joining the military per se when there's a just cause and a reason for Americans to fight. But as if we've learned anything since Korea, is that most conflicts are political. Now, that's something altogether different. But Brother Vance makes a great point here. Why are these Christians silent about Cubans suffering because of the U.S. embargo against Cuba? I don't hear any Christians praying for the Cubans. Would Christians be saying, pray for Yemen if the United States was not supporting Saudi Arabia in its war in Yemen? And what about the people of Saudi Arabia suffering under the brutal rule of Mohammed bin Salman regime? Shouldn't we pray for them? Oh, I forgot, he says, they're Muslims. Oh, we're not going to pray for them. How many of these Christians expressed any concern about all the widows and orphans that the U.S. military made over a 20-year period in Afghanistan? Supported by Christians. How many of these Christians offered up prayers for the people of Iraq, a country that never attacked the United States, when hundreds of thousands of them were injured, maimed, or killed during the U.S. invasion and occupation of Iraq, and before this, as a consequence of the brutal sanctions that the United States imposed on the Iraqi people? Why should we take any of these Christians seriously when they say, pray for Ukraine? When Ron Paul said back in 2014 about the Russian annexation of Crimea is still just as true today. Dr. Paul wrote, quote, why does the U.S. care which flag will be hoisted on a small piece of land thousands of miles away? End quote. And by the way, not in this article, but our current president, President Biden, at least 4 times has verbally expressed military support for the country of, or the island of Taiwan, the island of Taiwan. That has never been America's policy. So yes, pray for Ukraine, but pray for the civilians of the world who are on the receiving end of bombs and bullets from any army. And pray especially for the civilians of the world who are on the receiving end of weapons made in the good old USA by merchants of death like Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Raytheon, General Dynamics, and Northrop Grumman. I worked for Northrop Grumman. We didn't make weapons, we made satellites, although maybe there were some satellites that were weapons, I don't know. But they do have divisions that make weapons. So, a great article, something to think about. When people say, hey, you need to be praying for Ukraine. Well, he also didn't mention the fact that the United States government was responsible for the change of government in Ukraine back in 2014. He left that out. And so it's nasty business. And so we need to be careful what we're praying for here. And but yes, the people of Ukraine, as the people of China, as the people of countries in Africa, as the people of the United States are suffering. And yes, they need our prayers, our serious prayers. They need to find Christ, and that's what they need. So pray for Ukraine. Well, that's up to you, and understand where Brother Vance is coming from on that. Thank you for watching The Third Rail. Please like and subscribe. We've got more coming. Thank you, and God bless. Have a great day.